But we're going to do some Q&A. See how far we go. I won't be getting through all of them again. How does the trust plan to move new funds through the current banking system? That is an operational question, and we don't answer operational questions, sorry. When I was 3 years old, my mother, who was battling illness, they now call bipolar, committed suicide by overdose of sleeping tablets. For 40 odd years I mostly blamed her for it, but I now realise she was perhaps being badly compromised mentally with the poisons that she had hit in a brief stay at a mental asylum, plus whatever she was described by her doctors afterwards. On top of that, my father said she craved alcohol, so now after listening to some of your shows, is it possible she may have opened herself up for a walk-in? Yes, with those two, particularly the alcohol. Cahool means ghoul, as in spirit. Is it likely that this walk-in committed suicide? Well, depending on how bad the dark spirit is, it is possible. But then walk-ins in and of themselves, I've spent a lot of time trying to claim a vessel, so it is probably more likely, I have to say, that it was your mum. As the walk-ins are desperate, the dark spirits are desperate to get in vessels, so jumping out of one by committing suicide is generally not the way it goes. But like I said, it's always a possibility. Where does a person's soul go when a walk-in has taken over the body? Lower astral. Sometimes it gets consumed. Sometimes it gets jumped on and can be rescued. But sometimes it gets totally consumed. In the UK, would the authorities have known that the poisons they prescribe take away a person's need and ability to fight literally for their life? The doctors wouldn't know, and likely depends on who you term by authorities. Only the real ones that know are the likes of the genocide people at World Health Organization and the big pharma companies. They all know. There's a reason why they put, oh, you've got diarrhea, take this tablet, may cause diarrhea and you may die as well. I'll stick with the diarrhea thing, thanks. There's a reason why they list them all now. They've got to. Basically, then they're putting the consent onto you by listing it all, and the fact that you still took them means you've consented and you're liable. That's why they do it. The key is to get all people off those poisons, but every single one of them, I don't care which tablet or pill you take, they're all poison to the vessel, all of them. Is the Islamic Bank also part of the central bank system? Some of them are. Of course, Iran and Iraq and Libya weren't, which is why those three countries were attacked, along with North Korea, Cuba, Venezuela. What was the other one? There was 7 in all that were not part of the Rothschilds banking system, and they're all the countries that got attacked or still under attack. I know you stated that you dropped down a level in the case of taking another life. How did this apply to abortions? Which party involved drops to the lower level? In my opinion, neither. It is my understanding that the soul part does not come in until the point of birth. Others may argue different. That is my opinion. Technically it is a life. It's a very sensitive topic, but the vessel is alive, but the soul and the spirit haven't entered, and it depends on what you would determine what is life. It's not an easy subject to cover, but that is my understanding. I searched through the transcripts on Tartaria, but you only mention a region of people in North Russia. I haven't really covered Tartaria. Tartaria is the later version of the Rus, which is the last 500-600 years. Most of the material I've covered is the original version of the Urs, which means original, and the Rus. So what I will say is, when I looked at the Tartaria stuff about 12 months ago, a lot of it was fairly interesting. All the later stuff, the ones I've seen anyway, are distraction and distortion. I would go back, anyone who did a video on Tartaria 12-18 months ago, anything more recent, apart from the more notable ones, are using it as a distraction. You also stated that maps in the past show the area, but can you add more to the history of these erased people, as some maps even showed their control extending into Eastern Europe and well into North America and Northern Asia even. Well, the original Rus were 2/3 of Europe, parts of the Middle East, the whole of the Slavic region, Iran, all the southern Russian states, and also encompassed parts of India, and between 1/3 and half of modern day China. And yes, it went into Britain, it went into Ireland, and it went into North and South America, as the buildings all look the same, and no, they're not Roman or Greek. They were all over the world, teaching a better way, enlightenment. And no land was taken over by violence. Just teaching a better way, and everyone joining up, which is what we're trying to achieve now. But the maps show the regions. There's a reason why it's been deleted from the internet. But I hope that helps. Is there anything to the idea of a past mud flood event, even as recent as the mid-19th century? If so, was these events used as a form of population reset? I don't know too much about it. I've seen bits of it. It certainly stacks up that there was mud events in certain regions, maybe not all, as some of the videos are putting out. But if you look at the way buildings were, why would you build a basement? Why does the basement have to be below 4? You know, when particularly some of the places, or most of the places, are built near water. You know, if the street or the road floods, the basement floods. It seems a bit stupid to me. And maybe it's suggestive that those buildings were lower in the past. There were many things used for population reset, like the Black Plague, deliberate, like setting fire to major cities all around the world. London, 1666 being the most prominent one, but there was others. In fact, the Catholic Church, one of their directives in the 1500s was to set light to the whole of Europe. Um, will you be able to provide us with any advance warning as to the certainty of the clowns succeeding in crashing the economy? To a degree, yeah. We've already warned of the state of businesses in last week's piece, and the banks are in major problems. We'll hear more about that in the next hour. If abortion clinics are at some point a louche and organ harvesting point, but also abortion is a sovereign decision that the mother is able to make for herself, is louche no longer coming from the abortion clinics? I think perhaps getting two topics mixed up there. Abortion clinics are part of eugenics and part of collecting DNA for clones, for creating viruses that harms certain people. You have no idea the levels they can go to with research with some DNA or fetuses. You know, there's reports that some fetuses are turning up in our food. You know, yes, it can be seen as a louche, but the organ harvesting and the black budget research is the biggest problem with the abortion clinics. Is the German Empire still in possession of its sovereignty? No. They're all gone. Should we, the Germans, rebuild the German Empire instead of the present company NGO of Mrs. Merkel? No, you don't need an empire. You don't really need to call it Germany either. Countries were created to create division. That's why so many have been chopped up into smaller and smaller pieces for divide and conquer, like Holland. You know, Belgium, part of Holland. Luxembourg, part of Holland. You know, Germany itself has added bits on from Austria and the likes, or taken bits off Luxembourg. We don't need to build empires anymore. Empires are about control. Will there be coming anything completely new, a global but very positive world order, making such a revitalised German empire obsolete? Well, if the people act in the right way, the last thing we want is another empire or another world order. You know, they're all control systems, all of it. The Rus didn't consider it an empire. They consider it a teaching movement for the betterment of humanity. That's not something that we should be calling a new world order, or a different, or a revitalised order, or an empire. They're all the old world order, if you like, names. We don't need it. Don't need Germany to be the head of the world. We don't need America to be the head of the world. We need the people. Who were the legal rulers of the earth previous to 16,500 years ago? Humans. Those tall beings having their main base in Romania in the Basegi mountain complex, and later on their successors, my feeling, the Cathars, among them especially the perfect ones. Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge. The ones in that mountain certainly currently are not too good. But then, now the peace treaty, everything changes. Maybe those beings won't wipe everyone out that goes in there. Or maybe they're told to, because some people are just not ready to enter those mountains. They're not of the right frequency. Right, let's move on to somebody else's questions. I support your imploring the council for a hand up, not a handout in neutralising anti-human roadblocks, for instance, off-world slave trade. That was fixed 2.5 years ago. Human on human is our problem, and yes it is. But how about when human acts against human using off-world tech granted for off-world purposes? Well, this is why they were approached. It's not so much the tech anymore. We have our own tech. You know, people need to get out of their head that these off-world or even on-world or in-world have better tech than we do, because most of their tech came from us anyway. You know, this small human attitude has to change. We are far more advanced than they'll ever be when we're not interfered with. So we'll see what happens. Has this been pointed out to the council yet? That's exactly what was said in the piece when I referenced it. There's talk all over the internet about a rainbow bridge to 5D. No, it's not going to 5D at all. Drake is discussing one of the rainbows. Perhaps he's discussing Zippy and Bungle. I don't know. It's dear me. Since our monthly social security and pension checks are both auto deposits, not by our choice, of course, their policy, if the banks shut down, how will we get the monies rerouted to us directly? You won't. Not in the immediate term anyway, until something else is set up and everything's changed. This is kind of why the banks haven't been shut down. You know, the trust has the authority to shut them all down, but it will damage the people. But maybe the people needs a short, sharp shock, where they're not getting the social security or pension checks, where they actually get up and do something and fight back for themselves and their families. Not just leave it to the relatively few in the alt media and those in certain positions in certain authoritative roles. Maybe it needs them all. Are the events in Kashmir cabal fun and games, or is a genuine skirmish? There is no genuine skirmishes between Pakistan and India. It's all fake. It's all designed to keep people out of the area because of a certain mountain that opens up and certain craft go in and out of it. Always has been. Do you know of any positive movements with HR 25? Not as yet. When there is, we will report it in the show. You mentioned recently something about a nuclear attack on Russia in the 1800s. Can you elaborate? Not really. That's as far as I know. Apparently, if you look on Google Earth, you'll see a lot of craters that really shouldn't be there. For that might give you some evidence. Report that the whole Kazakhstan government, was fired on February the 21st. How can you fire the whole government? Is it real? Apparently they've all gone back. It was a change in the premier position, and all the former people went back. I attended a few classes on shamanism, but not sure if I'm barking up the wrong tree. Not something that may be a good thing to try and understand or get involved in. Wondering if you have any opinion about it, shamanism. I did a fairly lengthy piece back in autumn, was it, last year. Personally, I don't think so. From what I've been told from real shamans, which are few and far between and very little in America, north or south, these people are shysters by and large. They're training for 12 months and passing themselves off as full-on shamans. It takes a lot longer than 12 months to learn that. And you've also got to have the right frequency as well. This has become another money-making scam. We had Willow Yatsuma, was it? I think it was, who went all over Peru and various ayahuasca centres, which is another scam. Or scam is one thing, being possessed by dark spirits is another, which is what it induces. But shaman, Shah means time, so it's time man. I'm not so sure that's a good thing, because you don't know which timeline you're going on with some of those entities that they're bringing in with the ritual dances. And when you add it in, particularly the shamans in North America, that they may be descendants of the same people that were thrown out of the Garden of Eden and the Kali Ma. It's not something I would encourage. I'm not denigrating all shamans. I imagine some of them are rather good, but some of those that are advertised on the internet are all bogus. Like I said, if you've cost you $3,000, $4,000, $2,000, whatever, and you walk away okay. Some of those practices you walk away without your life. So the fact that it's a scam is one thing. Being permanently possessed is another. In some African countries, there are big projects going on by NGOs to plant trees. Do you know if wood is the new gold? It's a good move. People want to save the environment. It would actually help. I think I just remembered now, I covered the story on this about 12 months ago, where certain African countries, I think it was in the Congo, were planting millions of trees in the hope of pushing back the desert, which is creeping across Africa, and that's why they're doing it. So, good stuff. Either way, it will create more moisture and more animal life and improve the environment. Can you provide an update on Zimbabwe? Seems the Russians are getting involved. Why are they any worse than the Americans getting involved, or the Chinese elders? Well, we kind of covered Zimbabwe in the news. Russia investing massively, especially in mining. I don't understand this bit. If all the in-ground resources belong to the trust, all the ones that are being mined, all the actual in-ground resources belong to Zimbabwe, which is part of the trust, but the trust is giving all the in-ground resources back to the country where it belongs. So if Russia comes in and starts mining, the bulk of the money goes to Zimbabwe, not to these Russian or Chinese or American investors that are, and like to the De Beers in South Africa, just raping it. Zimbabwe president is a lot more savvy than perhaps the media makes out. Who organises the conferences like Contact in the Desert? Is it Gaia or higher level like the Covens? Well, Gaia TV is run by a Coven member, so it's the same as. Their agenda is to rope people into a harvesting programme with the children. As it said on the first Contact in the Desert, to get children into a 3-year programme. Indeed. Heard rumours of royal family to abdicate. They abdicated a number of years ago. What you're seeing now is an illusion. The British and possibly everyone are legally classed as chattel. Is there any plan by the Trust to change the fact that we are seen as nothing more than free-range chickens? Yes, it's ongoing, but we have to declare the country sovereign first, otherwise certain idiots who are declared sovereign first can then suddenly take over all the countries. So it's going to take time. Did I hear you correctly when you said Anne died in 2016? Yes, you did. And if so, I assume we're seeing her clones, so she's got doubles as well. And the doubles dying as well. Oops. I heard that George Walker Bush turned. Oh, he moves. And is now a cooperating witness. Any truth to this? No. That man can't stay sober enough to know to turn or do anything. Would taking the ley lines from the dark forces help change the energy on the planet? Yes, already underway. Magnetic north is unexplainably moving at a fast rate as the Earth moves into its original axis. Yes. As a resident of California, why is California being cleared out with various natural disasters, false flags and unattainable living expenses? I suppose you can include the entire West Coast. Well, it's the same as I warned Californians back in 2014. I was in Cosmic Voice then. They were emptying out California. No one believed me. Well, you're seeing the evidence now, but quite why it has to go so far before people realise what's going on is a mystery to many of us. The elites are taking over whole regions, or so they think. And it's not just the whole of the West Coast. They've already taken over the whole of the West Coast, let's be honest. Vancouver, Seattle, San Francisco and California. Chicago, another one. They've already taken over New York. It's that creep again that nobody notices until it's too late. Trump and Pompeo seemed nervous at the last press conference in Vietnam. Did something happen? Yeah. Maybe we'll have something in there. Intel. Whose side is State of the Nation on? No idea. Yes, I've seen their video. I'll reference it shortly. Let me see. Extreme winds, weather patterns, people complaining of anxiety, mental mood shifts, physical ailments, human resonance off the charts, other G1 storms, and massive magnetic energy shifts happening, causing this. They're messing with the weather. You know, you watch any weather channel and watch where the highs and the lows go. You have a big circle with an L or a H in. Just watch them. and you'll see unnatural movements. One now moving out, another one moving exactly in the same spot, one hovering, so it creates a wind shear or a wind flow, whatever they're planning to use. Just watch the Fairport channel, known as the Weather Channel, and you'll see. Is this part of the UPU cleanup? No. It's unlikely we will be having the UPU on any time soon. You never know, but as it stands currently, unlikely given the Chinese RV camp of Megan. I can't see that changing anytime soon. I think that's enough on questions. I think I've got through quite a bit there. And sometimes you feel like you're talking to yourself and no one's home. Perhaps this song fits.